What's up, folks? Mike Johnson, Yellow Buffalo here. Yeah, that thing. So I want to start this off, first of all, by saying, isn't this shirt awesome? Okay, now this is a Dreamcatcher shirt, is the name of the brand, but I want to show you guys something. These crossbones here are new. There was always the buffalo skull, there was always the feathers, everything, but this is all, I'm used to that. But the crossbones is new. And this is a Mandela situation, that I am living right now. I put the shirt on and I was thinking, oh, cool, yeah, I rarely wear this one. It's one of my favorites. I've had it for over a decade now, and I need to find a way to get the stains out of it because I do love this shirt and I would love to floss it out in public more. But the thing that really got me, and I was looking in the mirror and I looked down at my shirt and I said, well, I don't remember seeing those crossbones there. And I have worn this shirt a plethora of times. Plethora. If you never used that word before, go around using it. It means a lot. A lot. So, and I find this to be interesting because I wouldn't necessarily have bought a shirt with a skull and crossbones. This is something that was just going through my mind, and I was like, hang on a second, I was never really into pirates, and I was thinking about pirates yesterday too, and just this whole thing, it's almost like there's a pirate theme, and I need to check into a day. Okay. Wait, it's Friday. All right. I was like, it's not Friday the 13th, is it? No, it's the 10th. So it's this big thing that I've been thinking about, not pirates, but these dimensional shifts that I've experienced. That's just like, I'm sure I mentioned this, and if I didn't mention it on this channel, I mentioned it elsewhere. So I have a dear friend who we don't see each other near as much as we used to, mainly because I spend most of my time in the conversation trying to make it make sense. So I spend less time with my friends out in the world and more time with my friends in the sky, or in my head, as some people would say. But I can tell you the reason why they're in the sky and not in my head at some point. But today, I wanted to talk about, I have a dear friend who we've hung out many times, and on the other side of the fence, on the other side of the yard is where my dog would go potty, and there's a tree there, and I know for a fact that tree is there. There's actually two of them, and one day Gus and I were walking to the store, and then that tree was gone, and there was a window. There was a window that wouldn't have been there. And the thing about this is, I know for a fact that place doesn't have a window. It's really strange the way this apartment complex was built. Just like, just things that you normally wouldn't expect, like a 20-foot long wall with no window. I mean, it's interesting. It might even be longer than that, actually. But I found it strange, that the next day I came back. I didn't say that part. So the tree that I am used to, I am very used to seeing this tree. Gus has been around it. We've been there. This tree was gone. Like, there was no root system. You couldn't see, like, it was just a flat area where this tree was no longer. And this is, like, I've been in this apartment complex over a year, and I had taken Gus over there, like, every day. So this is something that was strange to me. Excuse me. And so then the next day, or a couple of days later, I go back because I was like, you know what, I gotta check and see if that tree is back. Because think about it. Why would you? I've seen trees planted in front of windows before. It's like for privacy and stuff. But this would have been like, it looks like it could have been a bedroom window, not a living room window or dining room window. And it was really strange, So I went and checked it out, and lo and behold, there was the tree. And I kept looking, and I didn't want, we live, where this window is, it's a non-window. Where this tree is facing the street, and it's a pretty busy street, so I didn't want to go and try and dig behind the tree and, maybe get myself dirty too. Because I didn't want somebody thinking I was trying to break in or something. But it was really strange. It's not something that somebody could have done overnight. I don't know exactly how long that tree has been there, but it's been there for a pretty good long time. And I could ask my friend, but it's been there longer than I've been here. At this residence. And so there's one. That makes two things. And okay, so this is something that I was thinking about a couple of days ago. Well, it was a week or two ago. And I was getting those $2 dozen eggs that I get. And I was like, you know what? I need some hot dogs. And I saw these Oscar Mayer wieners, and I was just like, no! Like, the conversation was screaming for me, because I was just like, I'm not going to scream. I was like, no! And I've been afraid to buy them, because I feel like if I eat them, then I might get brainwashed into believing that it's always been Oscar Mayer, and I don't want that. And that's one of the tests that I give people. And I keep hearing the conversation tell me that my dimension was destroyed. So the Bernstein Oscar Mayer dimension was destroyed. Now, I'm trying to figure out when that was. I'm trying to figure out what that was. And this is something that when it comes up, I think about it. I think about it. And I actually go into it. Like, when the Mandela effect was all over everywhere and it was being talked about, it was something uh, that made sense to me. Because there was some things that I had to try and fix in my brain. It's like there were multiple stories, and I didn't understand exactly how I could do this thing and this thing at the same time. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm still trying to figure out a lot of stuff because my memory hasn't been that great. And I'm talking long-term memory stuff. And we've talked about this. It's like stuff that I should know. It's like I recognize people. It's one thing, like, if you haven't seen somebody since you were little, and you're like, oh, yeah, I recognize you, but it's another thing when it's like a famous actor that you know who you're talking about. I had I think there was a time when and I'm yeah I had a problem remembering Harrison Ford's name at one point. And I was just like, what is it? There's other actors like that too. And, or I'll see an actor and I'll be like, I know who that is. Who is that? And then I'll Google them and their name doesn't sound familiar at all. And then it says that they've been in movies that I've seen, but I don't recognize them. I don't remember them from those movies. So, Dimensional Traveler. Ding. There's a lot of stuff that I would really love to chronicleize and not make it seem like it's science fiction or pseudoscience or what have you, because I really do believe that things are different. Things are different. And people can be, no, you're just misremembering it. And I'm like, that's gaslighting, dude. Don't do that to me. I was actually going to do a video on thinking errors today. But I was looking at my shirt because I was thinking about positive affirmations. I was listening to an audiobook that I had been meaning to really get into, and it was talking about a bunch of different things, like how you shouldn't avoid pain. It's more like healing from the pain. You shouldn't avoid stress. You shouldn't avoid pressure. It's the type of pressure that you choose. It's the type of stress that you choose. It's the type of problems that you choose. And that's something that what's important is, it's like everybody's going to have problems. But it's the problems that you choose, the problems that you want to have. There's good problems to have sometimes too. And so I started listening to that because there's someone and there's recurring themes, and they call it, what do they call it? Oh man, it was like the hell cycle of mental something. I don't know. I was listening, but like I said, I have difficulty remembering things sometimes. If it's something that I've researched and something that I've studied and something that I've lived, I can go into autopilot and I'm fine. But if it's something that like, oh yeah, I was reading this book. What's it about? Oh, I was watching this show, and then I think it might be just because my attention is being so focused on this that now I don't want to think about that, and that's the way my mind has been working. It's been so it's multi-track, but it's so singular focused sometimes that it makes it difficult to weave a tapestry sometimes with words because I might jump track and forget. So I feel like seeing that tree, I actually had to reach out and touch it, and it was normal. It was normal. There was another bush which used to be two trees that was outside of my apartment complex, and I'd see them pretty regularly too, or it now. That one was a deciduous and one was a coniferous, and now it's one big deciduous bush. Like, these things happen, and I would think differently if it were buildings or things like that. But when you see a plant that has obviously been there for a while and you know that it looks different than what it was, you know that somebody's not going to, change the foliage in the middle of the night as you're sleeping. It's just not going to happen. I mean, who's going to take the money? And I'm sure the root system, there's concrete, and whoever knows what else is in there. So this is really been a big thing for me. And I try and go through my life just lightly thinking of it. Like, okay, what timeline is this? What dimension is this? Because I will have people come up to me and tell me a story, and it's like, yeah, they were there, and yeah, it was like this, but no, that's completely wrong. No, I remember it like this. I remember it like this. I remember it like this, and I have gotten really good at that kind of stuff. I'm memorizing that kind of stuff because I've had to defend myself a lot. I've had a lot of arguments in my life, and so I got really good at that type of anecdotal memory. I can tell you from, the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep in some cases. It's become less important for me these days, so I don't do it anymore because I don't have somebody, the conversation might try, but I'm like, nope, we're not doing that. But when you're in unhealthy relationships, you tend to have to defend yourself a lot. So I got really good at it. And I feel like this is the reason why I'm experiencing this the way that I am. Because I can easily be like, Well, that's not the way that was. You know, that can wasn't yellow and orange. That can was, green and blue. That this uh this notepad here wasn't solid color. It was striped. It had like a pinstripes on it, or this, and so when I notice things like that, I have to acknowledge that it's real. I do acknowledge that it's real because I wouldn't have been seeing something for so long, and then one day it just, unless for some reason I'm in a different situation. But this is why I keep my life the way that I do. I don't have a bunch of people coming over. I don't wake up. I'd done that before. Wake up in a different city. Not no, no, and I knew where I was going and what I was doing, but I would just be asleep. Okay, I'll sit here with. And it's like going to powwow ceremony. I was on a semi for a while going across country, with and back in the day with family and just all this type of stuff. So now that I do have stability, now that I do have some continuity in my life, and that I do know exactly what things are and the way that things are, I can easily tell you, that's a change. That's something different. I have seen things happen right in front of my eyes, and I'm just, oh, great, okay. What's next? Let's do it. And here's the thing, because I know that when we go through these different shifts, and this is what I am seeing people call these things, is timeline shifts, dimensional shifts, consciousness shifts. So if I say, okay, this is a different timeline, that means that I made some decision or somebody made some decision at some point that changed the course of that one thing. And maybe I'm the one who noticed it. Okay. Or this is a different dimension, having a different set of physics, maybe that's why I've been running around with head pressures, because I'm going to, different spaces where there's different physics, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. And this is the reason why this is phenomenal. Life is phenomenal. Once you wake up and once you open up and see what life has to offer, it's a lot to take in, and it's almost too much. But it happens. It happens. And then I have to ask, well, what's the difference? What's the difference? And, it seems like things have kind of mellowed out a little bit when it comes to the ice building. And that could be it. Seems like, I don't know. I've been awake for a couple of hours. Things seem pretty mellow. And I'm talking energetically. I'm talking, I've watched the news, which is something I don't typically do. I don't watch local news, but I wanted to know what I was talking about if I were to mention the protests. I'm pretty up to date. It was cool to see everybody out there dancing. It was cool to, see that they worked on choreography and that they, want to make it a fun, kind of experience for them, because I know that is what's going to separate them from what's been happening in other protests. And that's what separates them from the people that are going in and pretending that they're something else, and I'm hoping that when I say that, it doesn't bring on something that wasn't here. But this is one of the things that I've said is I want to remember it all, So in this conversation, if I had the conversation and my memory jogged, about something that I could be, oh, no, this is when we said, and specifically, this is the reason why relationships and I, we've got to know how to communicate. We've got to know how to communicate, because if for some reason you have an energy come upon you or a spirit come upon you and you want to argue with me and you want to bring up something old, don't even try. I'm going to be like, now, don't ask me if I've seen a movie, don't ask me the lyrics to a song unless they're mine, or Bob Marley or something, Mortal Technique, or, I got a lot, Alice in Chains, some Soundgarden too, but it's like older stuff that's in, it's been made a part of my DNA. I had a friend back in 2016. This was right around the time that my mind was changing. He would start to show me movies, like old hood movies, and I wouldn't remember them until a specific scene, and then, oh yeah! And I don't know if that's something that is normal. I don't know if people go through that, and it's just like, oh, until your memory's jogged, you're not going to remember something. And when I was going to college, that is something that they did say is like, hey, we're going to have to create, it's a way for your mind to catch on to something. It's like, oh, it's a mnemonic device of sorts, and I feel like that's the reason why I've been able to notice these differences, is because I've had to do so many things to make sure that I was meticulous, to make sure that I was right, to make sure that I was on point. Singing in a choir, playing in a band, doing, singing on a powwow drum, writing, public speaking. And this is the reason why I'm not really that particular about the way I'm speaking while doing this, is because I want it to be conversational. But when you do these things, it's important to make it perfect, or as close to perfect as you possibly can. So look at the differences in your life. Look around and say, ooh, this mug kind of has a little different, Or, did you ever notice that, on that, oh, and this is hard because people want to talk about, logos. People want to talk about logos. And this is not a logo. I mean, it's a printed tee. You know, it's a printed t-shirt. But it's not a logo. You know, but the fact is that people are going to see that and they're going to know and they're going to recognize it over time. But that's like they tried to change the... I don't even know. I ate there a couple of times at Cracker Barrel. They tried to change the thing and everybody flipped. But just imagine that there's a timeline where they actually did change it. Now that creates something different. And, you know, it's possible that some of us have come to a different timeline. You know, it's possible that some of us are from a different universe. It's possible because if you're talking about CERN, if you're talking about the Hadron Collider, if you're talking about all these things that people have been getting into these days, well, my entire life, really. You know, maybe a little bit longer than I've been alive. People have been trying to break into different dimensions. And if you try to do something, don't you think you might end up doing it at some point? If it's possible, don't you think you might end up doing it at some point? So, I'm not sure exactly why the crossbones, you know, and I know skull and crossbones means death. But that's another point I was going to make, but I'll save that for another time. Anyways, y'all, I love you. Hope you're having a great day, night, afternoon, evening, whatever you got going on. Peace.